A glorified freelancer with a ring light.
All right, so you've doubled your followers this year and your views are up 300%, but your bank account is still flat. Meanwhile, someone who has half your audience just bought another house.
How is that even possible, Aaron?
Because views don't pay bills, ownership does. And the one question creators never ask themselves is, can I sell this and walk away? So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why you're leaving money on the table and the 3-step pivot that turns your audience into wealth. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the growth illusion that's keeping you broke. Then we're going to show you the sponsorship trap that you're stuck in. And finally, we're going to talk about an ownership play that all the smart creators are making right now.
I like the sound of the ownership play.
Yes.
First, the growth illusion. Views are vanity metrics.
Right. So as a creator, you probably know this to some degree already, which is that more followers being more money is really a lie, because simply growing your following without any control is kind of like building a cage around yourself, right? And this is because algorithms are going to change over time. As you make more and more content, you're going to burn out over time. And when this actually happens, and it does happen to every single creator at some point, you're going to discover that you actually really own nothing, right? I know, Tom, you had some insight into this.
Well, yeah, because you think like a creator, you act like a brand, but you're structured like an employee, and often not a good structured employee. You know, not many perks other than what sponsorships, a couple bags, toys, whatever. You know what I mean? Like you pretty much getting swag to show off.
You get free swag, but it's really just swag, right?
It's swag, yeah. So because creators own IP, right? Like you own your brand. That's it, pretty much, right? The brand own the equity. The company selling you on, showing this bag, they own the bag brand. And then employees rent their time. And it's sort of your business model.
At the end of the day, you are a business person, but you're also really just trading time for money, right?
I mean, that's really all it is. I will give you this thing, and I want you to do these couple things for it. So then how long will it take you? You just traded time for money. So when you think of, an IP owner, equity owner, employee, which one are you?
It's possible to be more than one. You just have to structure it properly, right?
Exactly. So let's go into sponsorships a little bit.
Yeah. So this is where most creators get started, because it's like the easiest path. And, I'm sure as a creator, you have been through this process too. You start making content, and in the beginning, you're just happy to get anything, right? Like you'll take the free swag, especially if you're in a niche where the swag is actually relevant to you. Like, say, you are a beauty and makeup creator and you would use this stuff yourself. It's really nice getting a bunch of stuff from, Shiseido or from NARS or whatever the makeup brands are that are popular nowadays, because that stuff costs money. But at some point, you're going to think, hey, maybe I can do this instead of working my normal job, and I can actually make money off it. And that's where the sponsorship stuff starts, right? And where it ends up is you get paid per play, and free stuff alone doesn't really excite you much anymore because it doesn't pay the bills. But now you're stuck. You basically get paid and given stuff to stay poor, because at the end of the day, you're really just an employee for all these brands.
A glorified freelancer with a ring light.
Exactly. You get a bunch of one-time payments, or if you're lucky, and this is actually kind of rare, an ongoing deal that doesn't pay very much. So you own the channel, yes, but you're not really the owner of what's going on the channel. You're essentially renting out your audience to grow somebody else's brand and business.
And this is a really old model too. So let me weave off a little bit, right? So people can see how, this works in other industries. So in my 20s, I worked for an insurance company, MetLife, which is the biggest insurance company in the States, right? And their whole play was they want you to come in with your audience. Audience means family, friends, people in the neighborhood. and you need to get them to buy the insurance, right, from MetLife, and they will pay you a commission. But they made it seem like you're an employee. And very quickly, you found out that you're not. So here's how they did it, which is even worse than a creator. So if you're a creator, you're still better off than an insurance agent. So you rented your audience to them. You sold stuff for them to grow their business. If anything happened during the first 9 months of the payments, they would take your commission back. So imagine getting your bag, whatever, taken away from you. After about a year or so, they will now put you on a professional plan and start charging you for the desk, for the phone, for everything else on top of what you're doing.
You know, there's another business model that comes to mind when you say this, and we may have to cut this one out, but strip clubs work the same way.
I actually don't know their business model that well.
So the business model is the club owner owns the premises, does the marketing and brings in the audience, but the women who work in the club, they have to pay a fee to work every night, and they don't make any money from the club because they're contractors, and they make all their money from the tips.
So this also sounds like a barbershop.
I didn't realize I guess it's an American thing. Barbershops work.
It's an American thing, right?
They don't work that way here, but
yeah. So, well, no, some of them do because I asked. So, like a lot of barbershops, they let you rent the area. So they're marketing the barbershop. You know, they're bringing the people in, but you're paying for the stuff that you rent from them, and then just make a cut. So this seems like it's not, only the creators get, that type of weird business model, but it's still a sucky business model. You're always growing someone else's business. So with like barbers, I will see someone leave and try to make it on their own. Typically it doesn't work because they've never done the actual business themselves. And the barber just says like, oh yeah, Ken doesn't work here anymore. Why you should try Bob? You know what I mean?
Yeah, funny. That actually happened to me. I have a barbershop out in RE in Bangkok that I really liked, and my guy left, right? And I showed up one day, and he was just gone. They're like, "Oh, try this guy." That guy was terrible. My guy actually went out on his own. He opened his own barbershop in Nana in Bangkok, and they're actually doing pretty well.
Well, good for him. It doesn't typically happen.
What he did that was smart was he basically got all the contacts of customers on his personal phone. And then when he opened, he messaged everyone and was like, okay, "Hey, I've opened my own shop."
So at least, okay.
He's doing what creators do, which he basically built an audience, even if it's just in the form of a contact list, and continues marketing to them, right?
So as we weave back to a creator, right? You've got that audience. The question is, how much of the audience do you own? Right? That list, because the platform owns the audience, really. So what do you own? Like what contacts do you own? And then who owns the equity?
Yeah. There's probably like a slight seg that we can go into here. I won't go too much off topic, but as we're recording this, it's still up in the air what is going to happen to TikTok in the United States, right? And if you are a large creator on TikTok or other creators on TikTok, you might be wondering when the deal goes through, if it goes through, what's going to happen to your audience? And for people who don't know, the news in the grapevine is that all American users are going to get moved to their own app, their own version of TikTok. We don't know what it's going to be called yet.
Interesting.
Right? But the question is, are your audiences going to move over as well? If you have 1 million followers on TikTok, are you going to get 1 million followers on the new app? Or do you have to start from scratch again? And that just goes to show what Tom said, which is, you have an audience, yes, but you don't really own it, because at any time, if the platform or regulators do something arbitrary, like decide that the platform is not allowed in your country anymore, your audience is gone.
Well, in this scenario, like the one thing maybe 30% of the creators listening will say like, yeah, but if they get moved over to the app, I own them. But the thing you don't know is whether that audience actually wants to open that app. Because that's another decision, right?
They will have to reinstall, they will have to reset up their accounts, and there's a whole political mess in the US. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, man.
Yeah, but the second you actually change something for a customer, for the audience, like
there's always churn.
Right.
This is a
So,
marketing principle. Yeah.
yeah, so this killed a lot of TV shows back in the day. The time slot will get moved to a different day, and the audience will not follow. Like one thing changed, and it just destroyed
Okay.
everything. So,
Yeah.
audience is a fickle thing.
Yeah. Let's weave this back. So you probably have seen creators out there who might have the same following as you, but they own equity in a business or a brand deal, right? And to go back to what we were just saying, even if the audience changes, there's a move to a different app or something changes in the distribution platform, they still have that equity. That business is still relying on things apart from just their audience, right? And if that business gets acquired, well, now we're talking about going from, a couple of paid sponsorships to potentially walking away with like a 40x multiplier on a paid sponsorship when the business gets sold, right?
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, I would say, for any creator, just to own as many smaller equity pieces and as many businesses in your niche as you can.
Yeah. So I kind of want to tie this into the next point we wanted to talk about, which is I know something that a lot of creators go through, especially ones who have built in their country what's considered a full-time income, right? So you're making enough money as a creator that you don't have to work a day job. And you got to understand, if you're already at that point, you're already in like the top 5, 10, I'd probably say more like top 5% of creators out there. Most creators, as we talked about in a previous episode, don't really make anything, right? But once you're at that stage where you're making, the equivalent of a white collar office job, full-time income off your sponsorships and stuff, you're always going to ask yourself, when am I going to have a business behind this so I don't have to do more sponsorships? Because at some point, your audience is going to get big enough and you're going to be making enough money that you're like, I have to charge a lot because of my audience size, but because of that, I get fewer jobs, which means there's always going to be a ceiling on how much I can make as an employee for brands. Right? And where that leads to is you have to ask yourself, how are you going to monetize your audience, which you already have, in the right way? And Tom, I know you call this the ownership play, right?
I do, because you're moving from a freelancer, basically in any other like service type industry, like I'm doing things for money. And then you have really two paths to go, right? From that, I can start what some would call an agency. All that means is you get a lot of help to do more of what you already do. So that now it's like the 80-20, right? Like now everyone's doing all the nonsense for me, so I can just do these content plays, right? And then you realize you're at this point where it's like, okay, I am making more money, hopefully. Depends on how expensive your team now is, the overhead, because we've heard some horror stories about that. But you're in the same spot. Like there will be a new ceiling, but now you'll have a lot more work, a lot more responsibility, a lot more people to deal with.
And you gotta manage people on top of what you're already doing.
And the other path is the equity. Let someone else deal with all that. You keep sort of renting out your audience, but not really anymore, because now you're building your own piece of the equity. You
have a stake.
Your business.
You have a stake in that business.
Yeah. I think the only thing I would kind of mention too, because, getting ownership is one thing. It's like when you talk about this, does that owner actually want to exit? Because as a creator, like that is what you want. You're sort of like a VC in your own way. You want an exit.
Even if you don't know it yet.
Well,
I would say that. I'm exit's probably I would say it's like a foreign term to creators. It's not something you usually think about.
Well,
right?
because
it takes a lot of development of thought to get there.
It does. But again, if you're, in that space, you have really two equity plays to make sure you're getting some money from this, even if you have equity. Because if you have no exit, the only thing you can ask for, which will be a harder ask, and you're kind of killing the business in the process, is profit sharing. But if you just make sure that the business is putting all of the money and attention into it to grow, the exit is the fastest way, right? It's like that, like, do I want to get $1 million now or $10,000 every month over the rest of my life?
So it's let's make it a bit more concrete. So let's say you own a stake in a small B2C app, something on the App Store, right? That app makes, I don't know, what do you reckon, Tom? 20,000 a month?
Could be 20 to 40K.
40K a month. Let's say 40K a month. You could take that profit share, right? But then you're eating away into money that could be spent on marketing across other channels. And once you stop promoting the app to your audience, or your entire audience is saturated on the app already, there's going to be a declining profit share. But if you reinvest the money in the app, it's going to grow across other channels. It can grow across other creators, across paid media, across, App Store search and things like that. And the money goes up. And then you exit. And then you get a big multiple of money now, as opposed to declining money over time. That's the difference.
I think there's a lot more benefits, but maybe we should unpack them in a different episode. I think there's a lot of benefits to these exits and the way you can structure this.
Yeah. All right. So let's bring it back to ownership then. So the reality is, unless you've built your following around a specific business to start, right? And you do see this with some B2B creators. So people who started as freelancers or semi-agencies, and they built a following, a small niche following around their services. They already have a business. But if you haven't done that, if you're a general entertainment creator, or you're an entertainment creator in a specific niche, be it like, I don't know, Eastern European travel or something like that, right? It's almost going to be impossible to build a business around your existing following. And even if you look at some of the largest creators in the world, like take Mr. Beast, you see that even he struggled to find a product market fit for his audience because it's so general, right? I don't know if any of you guys remember Beast Burger. Not the one in Chiang Mai, Tom, but Beast Burger in the US. He tried.
I've heard small things about it.
He opened a bunch of stores at a bunch of malls across the US, but they could never get it profitable because people would have to go to location to buy the burgers. And then there's the issue of quality control and all those things as well. But eventually he got to a product called Feastables, which is his chocolate brand. And that was mainstream enough. He could do enough distribution and promotion across his channel that it became an equity business that he had a stake in. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, as a creator, it's really hard to build a business around your following if you don't already have one. You may get lucky like Mr. Beast, but it's going even for him, I think he went through like a dozen different types of brands and businesses, some of you've probably never heard of, to get to that one that actually worked.
Yeah, I mean, most of the advice I hear is for creators, right? Build a business, something that has no fulfillment and an audience around it. But if you do it the opposite way, you only have these kind of crappy business models to walk into, which is, I'm going to build an agency with, like I said before, or maybe I'll do some course thing, which I'll have to be launching over and over again. Or I need to do some kind of coaching program. You know what I mean? Like, it's not ideal business models.
It's what time for money, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just insane marketing play, courses, insane marketing plays. Like, you need to continually keep marketing that thing or it dies.
Yeah. So what can you do instead, Tom?
Well, the best thing is to find someone that has a business that fits, so they are running that instead of you. Or like Mr. Beast, you could, if you know what you're doing and you want to do it, you could pay someone to build your idea out. Just understand there's going to be a lot of more moving parts coming in. But with something like software, it is an ideal business model. You just need to understand that the hype that exists, it doesn't really, the software will not run itself. You still need maintenance. There's still things that are needed to be done, right? So it might be easier, unless you're super technical, to not hire someone that's going to pretty much own you, because you got to keep paying them to, because you don't know what you don't know. I would still say, try getting equity in multiple businesses. And again, there's benefits to that, but we'll unpack them in a different episode. I really strongly feel one business per creator, if it's not yours, it's not the ideal scenario.
And yeah, I mean, just from a common sense standpoint, if you only have one software business that you're promoting to your audience, it's eventually going to burn through your audience.
And you don't have as much leverage.
Yes. Yeah. It's like Tom said, you're basically a mini VC. You are doing multiple deals and you're seeing which ones are going to play out to an exit.
Yeah. So Aaron, what's the takeaway from the episode?
Takeaway from this is every creator should be asking themselves, can I sell this? Can you sell your business? Right? If you're just happy being internet famous and financially average, great, just keep doing what you're doing. But if you want the following and you want income and money that keeps going, even when you stop posting, you need to think about equity or an exit only strategy. Right? So Tom, what can creators do next?
Well, I would start auditing my deals right now. Am I getting paid for output or owning equity? So what would it take for me to get equity? Do I have to build it myself? Can I partner with someone? Can I find these somewhere?
So subscribe to the channel if you want to see us break down how to structure equity deals and how to pick the right ownership model. And also drop us a comment and to let us know what you're working on. And if you're serious about shifting from just views and sponsorship to ownership, fill out the form in the description and we'll get back to you.